town on the insurance cost for the discount. Because there's mod rates that are discounts, and then there are additional requirements when there's a lot of disability claims.
Other questions or comments? Yes, please.
I only have a comment. My comment is that for the people that are the EMTs, if they should get hurt, you can't get a new back.
Other questions or comments on item 4? Seeing none. Item 5. Will the town of Lebanon add 1 per diem fire/EMS personnel to be at the station during overnight hours to greatly reduce response time to emergency scenes for a cost of $53,403. Cost includes payroll and payroll taxes. Selectmen recommend 2 yes, 1 no. Budget committee 2 yes, 5 no. Are there questions or comments on item 5? Let's go first with you, and then we get a yes, sir.
How many nights per week does somebody have to respond on average?
I can't say how many nights per week.
Ballpark?
You know, we go out at least 3-4 times a week.
At night,
And at night.
between like 6
Between
p.m. and 6 a.m.?
Because currently right now, we have per diem employees that start at 6 in the morning and work till 10 at night during the week. And then on the weekends, they're 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And all those other hours at nighttime are covered from people from home. So it could be 10 minutes by the time we get dispatched and the ambulance goes en route. And depending on where the call is, it could be an additional 10 to 15 minutes before we get there.
So what's your average response time?
Average response time right now, I'd say between 12 to 18 minutes before we get on scene. By the time we dispatch, that's not by the time this dispatch center takes the call. Because it's an additional 2 minutes by the time they get done asking all these questions and so forth that they need to ask so we can get the right information.
And as it stands now, they take an ambulance home with them at night?
No, the ambulances stay in the station and they respond from home to either the scene or to the station.
Other questions or comments on question 5? I'll go with this gentleman and over to you. Yes,
All
sir.
right, not to put anything on the spot, but that was very high budget committee no vote. So I was just wondering if the budget committee might give me some insight as to why that vote was so high for no.
Budget committee here to weigh in on the recommended vote.
I voted no. First thing is, where are you gonna sleep? No showers, no bathrooms. I mean, we got 2 condemned fire stations that have been condemned forever. Then we're gonna start from the kitchen, the bathroom, bedroom. And my idea is, what's one person gonna do that's at the fire station? If you get a call, they're gonna pick the ambulance, then what are they gonna do when they're on scene? Load the patient and then stay there and wait for somebody else? Because who's gonna drive the ambulance? Who's gonna work on the patient? Same thing with a fire. If you have a fire, what are they gonna do? Bring the fire truck to the scene and sit there and wait because you can't go into a burning building with one person. So to me, it's money that is needlessly spent because I can't see how it's gonna help personally.
Well, honestly, I don't feel it's needlessly.
Wait.
Sorry.
You're doing the advocates, but anybody else have a question on item 5?
It's a little overzealous.
You can answer the question. Thank you.
How many people is this gonna employ?
Right now, it's people that are in the department. So it's putting one person on
7 days a week.
7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Other questions or comments on item 5? Mr. White.
Yes, sir. At the budget committee meeting, this response time, the other side of the town, is 30 to 15 minutes. That's what you said.
Sorry, I did not say 30 to 32 minutes.
Wait. David, you cannot, you've got to keep the questions relevant to the referendum. Okay? Okay. Other questions or comments on item 5? Yes, sir.
how many EMTs you got in town?
Right now, that live in town, we have a difference.
Well, doesn't make any difference.
So-
They serve the town,
They
right?
serve the town.
How
People
many?
that live in town that are EMTs is probably 10 of us.
How many?
10.
10.
We have
Why
one
can't
that
you?
lives out of town that works here as a per diem employee.
Okay. Why can't you just, you got 10 EMTs, say, okay, it's your night today,
We do.
tomorrow it's your night all night, next day it's your
We
night
do,
all
but
night.
unfortunately, we can't order them.
Sorry?
We can't order them to do it.
You
because
can't?
No. We
Other
can't
questions or comments on item 5? Yes, ma'am.
I live on dirt road, I go in and park on the store, it doesn't cost the town any money to fix my road, okay? If we don't have an ambulance, an EMT, we're in bad shape. That's more important than fixing potholes.
Other questions or comments on number 5? Chris?
Now, my understanding is that we have personnel in a stipend, right? On call at night?
They get an on-call stipend, yes.
Okay, so that's my thing. They're already on call, waiting for a call. So why are we going to pay somebody else to stay at the station?
That would be replacing one person from the on-call stipend, would be at the station and they get their salary. So the other person would be on call with a stipend, one person would be getting paid.
Other questions or comments on item? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just have a question. I'm not.
Please stand up.
Before you, but.
Please stand up so everybody can hear you.
So you said it's gonna be one person, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can't employ one person 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So it would have to be
It would be
one person.
multiple people
Okay.
working shifts, yes.
Other questions or comments on item 5?
So, you guys know, I listen to this, but, the tone goes on, right, stuck to that, anybody can come and tell you about that. What I'm hearing over here is it's a waste of time, what are they gonna do, send one person in the ambulance? Actually, that's what they do now. They send one person in the ambulance, who's ever closest, takes the ambulance and goes, the other person meets them there, or they call prison paramedic, and prison paramedic meets them there. That's exactly what they do, and they get that ambulance to the scene, they get that ambulance right there, the other person meets them, you have 2 EMTs or EMT and a medic working on that patient within minutes. I don't know what's best in this case, whether overnight or whatever, but I can tell you that that's exactly what they do right now. One person is there, grabs the ambulance, takes off, and the other person is either right there with them or meets them there. But getting that ambulance out of the station is their first priority. And getting that ambulance to your scene is their first priority.
Other questions or comments on item 5? Chris?
Okay, so I don't want to start an argument or anything, but 53,000 is for one person.
Yes.
Okay, what are we going to do for bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, all that stuff?
Currently,
Because that's not in the budget.
yep, and currently it's gonna come, it would come out of the fire department budget.
Is there an estimate to look at cost?
Actually, I was gonna, why, if they're on shift, why should they be,
Hey, you're not recognized, you can't talk, all right? Otherwise, we just got a big argument going on here. We're trying to get people information. So if you want to be recognized, put your hand up and I'll give you a chance. All right, Chris, are you done?
Well, I just want to know where the money's going to come from,
Okay.
and how much the cost is going to be, because at the budget meeting, I brought them questions up, and there was never a price on a bathroom or all that stuff.
So currently, Station 1 on Upper Crossroad has an office that's not being used, and we could make a bedroom out of that. So it needs a coat of paint, doesn't cost that much. Needs a rug, we can get one that's fairly cheap. And then it needs just cleaning up. There's bathrooms there. We just need to make one shower from one of the bathrooms. We can eliminate one bathroom and go down to just having one and a shower. So there's options there, but we need to explore it further.
Okay, question on item 5, yes.
my question is,
You need to stand up so people can hear you.
are we talking about staffing an overnight shift, or are we talking about staffing a firehouse overnight? That's kind of.
Staffing an overnight shift at the firehouse.
So that requires beds and
Because, you know, it requires a bed, unfortunately, because it's just the way how EMS and fire works over the years. And it works in the same thing in every other community across the state and also in the country. So people who come in to work for us also work day jobs elsewhere. Because everyone that works here are convenience. So they could come in off of one shift somewhere, work with us, and then they go back somewhere else to work.
I can understand the shower, okay? You guys have to decontaminate other things after fire. I can understand the shower,
Yep.
but the beds things is what I'm hung up on. That's definitely where I'm wondering, like, what are we staffing for? That's a big leap.
So
That's more than that's absolutely more than what I think we were talking about.
So basically, it's an insurance policy.
Is it?
Think of it as an insurance policy.
So now can we
Oh, wait a minute.
now we're into something. Can we talk more
No,
about
we can't, because we're going way too deep. We're now 45 minutes, and we're still on question 5. We're going to get to the other questions here before midnight. Then we can't keep challenging this kind of detail, okay? I appreciate your questions, but you're digging a big hole, okay? So, David, and then I'm going to go to George.
I'd like to make a motion to hold each question 5 minutes.
Do we have any ability? I was going to bring my egg timer tonight, but I didn't. I tested it out, actually. It was 3 minutes and 15 seconds, and I left it home. So, I guess maybe I'll just measure the clock, unless one of you wants to watch the clock at 5 minutes, because we're not going to make it if we get into this kind of detail. Yes, sir.
The way I look at this question is this is really a service question that really each one of us has to figure out the value of. So essentially think of this is really putting somebody, it's not really 24 hours because we already have 2 people during the daytime. So it's really covering the night. And this number is to cover the night shift with a paramedic. What you'll find in the state is that a lot of paramedics bounce around towns, and they do 24-hour shifts because that's how they do it. Okay, they don't do that here. They'll do a 12-hour shift, but we don't have a 24-hour shift availability. So by doing this, that gives us a better availability that other paramedics from southern Maine will want to do a shift here. So it's a level of service that this town gets, an increased level of service, to have a paramedic. If the paramedic is at the station, even if they're asleep, because they're on a 24-hour shift, they gotta sleep. Okay? They're up on that call immediately, jump in the ambulance, they're off to the scene. That could save easily 10 or 15 minutes. In a heart attack situation or whatever the situation, Chief, I'm sure, can go into a lot more detail. Those minutes can save lives. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Is it going to happen to me? If I knew that was going to happen, I'd vote yes. But I don't know. Everybody has to make their own decision on it. But we're talking about saving time, which saves lives. And a paramedic that gets to the scene can do something, even if it takes 20 minutes for somebody else to show up. The paramedic is already performing medical aid to whoever it is. And even if it's an EMT, they can do certain things. So to think that no action is going to happen until the second person shows up is wrong. They're getting aid immediately, but essentially it's a service. If this fails, people are just going to have to wait till somebody shows up in town, grabs the ambulance, and gets to the scene. They're still going to get the quality of service that they get now. This is just an additional level of service.
Are there additional questions on item 5? I saw Louise.
Well, I was just gonna ask, I didn't know,
You need to stand up so people can hear you.
what's the legality of, just having one person by themselves at night in the fire station?
There's no,
Other questions? Thank you. Item 6. The town of Lebanon raise and appropriate $85,335 to contract with John E. O'Donnell and Associates to accelerate the current assessing contract and implement the new assessing system. The intent is to be able to certify at 100% evaluation as of April 1st, 2020. Selectmen recommend yes, 3, Budget Committee 7 yes, Zero no. Other questions or comments on item 6?
Just to clarify, is this the special page this refers to?
Yes.
That we were given? Okay.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
When was the last time the town was evaluated?
Was evaluated or reevaluated?
Yeah.
I don't think it ever happened.
Yes, it did.
Huh?
Yes, it did. When Ronnie Patch was selected, they reevaluated the whole town. Yes, he did, because he came to my house and they walked all around the property.
So our system right now is a small cape, large cape, big ranch, little ranch, colonial, which is not a system, not evaluation system. You can call it whatever you want. Huh?
Worked pretty good for the people on the waterfront.
So I'm just saying is that we don't have a system. Did they do assessing in the past and maybe change some value? Sure. But it's not based on any system that is recognized by any assessors, certified assessors in the state of Maine.
Other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I think it was these people that you had at the town hall, and you could go and ask them questions, 6 months ago. Was it this tax assessor that was at the town hall?
It was one of his members.
Yeah, well, I don't know how long ago that was. I'm still waiting for an answer. They're going to get back to me. I haven't heard.
Other questions or comments on item 6?
So referendum 9, which is your general government expense, also includes expenses for your assessing agent. Wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that because they don't tell you on this referendum article that it's included in 2 spaces. So under referendum 9, you're paying your regular cost for your assessing agent, what we have been paying for them. And then under referendum number 6, you're giving an additional $85,000 and change dollars to accelerate the speed of the reevaluation for the town. But I just wanted to make everybody clear on that we're already paying money for the assessing agent under referendum number 9. And then this is an additional $85,000 for the assessing agent under referendum number 6.
Additional questions? I'm going to go to the gentleman in the back. Yes, sir.
That's awesome. I'm just curious if you could tell me what the certified ratio actually was, the most recent one.
95%.
From the state, or is that what?
No,
you
state is 86%.
That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Other questions or comments on 6? Yes, sir.
What's the town charter say about assessing property values, how long, or what's the periodicity in between? And also, was this
There's no charter. There's no charter.
we don't have a town charter?
That's correct. Other questions or comments on item 6? Yes, sir.
I just want to know the stipulations in the contract is if they don't meet the deadline of April 1st, that was they going to give them a check anyway.
Who doesn't?
The John O'Donnell and Associates. So you have in the warrant article you want to certify 100% by April 1st, 2020. So are they going to get a check up front to do the work, or do they get it after they're done? So if they don't meet, in other words, they don't meet that April 1st deadline, and they're still getting the full $85,000.
Select that answer the question. How is O'Donnell get paid under this proposal?
Yeah, as far as that, to get all their assessing work done, that's the goal. I don't see a risk of not achieving that. They just can put more people on, so it's just a matter of field work. And most of the field work is already done. Probably half of the town has already been done on the field work. So I don't see there's a. So to directly answer your question, there is no penalty or anything. That was never addressed. But I don't see any risk of that either.
Other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
I'm on the waterfront, and they've already come to my house twice.
Other questions or comments on item 6? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, Karina Cole.
Did you say that the state only mandates you to be at 86% and we're at 95 now?
No. The state says that we are at 86%. We certify that we're at 95%. What that means is, and again, I am not a certified assessor, so I may be wrong. I know enough to be dangerous. There is a certified assessor in here that could probably clarify if I am wrong, but essentially, we, for example, homestead, we give people homestead at 100%. If we only certify at 95, we can now only give 95% of that homestead to people. Okay, another example, CMP. We charge CMP, they pay property taxes for all these power lines and the substation. Millions of dollars. Well, guess what? We can only collect 95% of those dollars now. We can't collect 100% of those dollars. We're going to lose that revenue right now. And if we don't get caught up on the assessing, next year we're going to go lower than 95%, because right now the state has us at 86%. What that means, what that number means, is that the state looks at sales numbers in the town and says that our values are only at 86% of those sales values, which means that we're under assessing. And they're going to penalize us. So they give us a valuation that's higher, and that's how we're penalized. And so we have to get closer to sales values, which are market value, and that's what assessing is. So that's kind of a simple version. I hope I didn't mess it up.
Other questions that I didn't just now?
Melissa Albert, is there a reason why we don't hire a certified assessor to be at the town office, during town office hours, if this is the cost? If you're looking at 85,000 plus, she said that there was some money that was in actually the Referendum number 9.
So we have a contract with a certified assessor, John O'Donnell. He's used probably in 40 to 50 towns here in the state, and they're available through email or a phone call.
But I'm saying, if you're spending this kind of money, why don't you hire a certified assessor to be at the town office Monday through Friday?
Because there's not the demand for those questions. Otherwise,
it seems like there's the demand. We need a revaluation. Why couldn't a certified assessor do that?
but they are. They're a contract. So it's a full contract. So that's how it is. That's how it's.
Other questions at item 6? Yes, sir.
I wanted to clarify what she was asking up front. Are you suggesting that it would be cheaper to hire a town employee than to execute the contract?
Yes.
Okay, that's where she's going.
Ben?
You're the certified assessor in the room, right?
I kind of respond to that if you're lucky. One assessor cannot reval this whole town. That's a huge project. So, and that's asking too much, and that's what this money's actually stating, this is what it's going towards. And I believe you're the third year of the reval, which was a long stretch, but if I remember correctly, it was like $240,000.
It was like a 6-year project.
Well, 6 years is crazy, but yeah, I mean.
Because of the money. It's a money number, right?
Well, that's why you're trying to accelerate. So yes, I understand that. But it absolutely, you're 100% right. It will affect every one of your homesteads. It will affect every one of your veterans exemptions. Any of the exemptions coming from the state. This will affect not only, and Chip's also right, that any of your assessments, hey, great for us, it's 95% of our actual assessed value, but you're losing money. And it's actually us going to be carrying the burden of this overall. The school's going up. I am at complete loss why our mill rate only went up 6 cents last year, when every other town that I'm currently working in went up over $1, and they didn't pass everything on the ballot. We did, for the first time ever that I can think of, and to me it doesn't wash, but not my place. But I'm saying what's being proposed this year, you're going to have a huge increase on your taxes. And so right now this rebound really needs to be done. And there are issues out there with O'Donnell's. There's a lot of people that say, well, we talk, because there are issues there as far as getting information from them. If they were ever to leave, having the information accurate. One of the towns I do, they walked away after 38 years, and it's a mess. And so I have not supported them continuing in this town, and it's got nothing to do personally. It's just I've seen what they walk away from. It does need to be done. every house needs to be measured and listed and work in the system here. It's very faulty. So,
Other questions or comments on item 6? Yes, ma'am.
Betty Harris Howard. So what this is saying, if I'm correct, is the 85,000 and change is going to go down here and be added into the 691,000. In the end, it all goes into one box. Is that correct?
Anyone want to interpret what this 85?
When you change, put that into the budget, it will then be going into the Referendum 9's budget.
No, it will not.
no.
It has a budget all of its own.
It's a single line item, so that goes to John O'Donnell
Okay,
for additional work.
all right,
It
good.
doesn't get added into that budget.
All right. Then the assessing agent who's put into, with this other group here, is another amount that we're paying them, correct?
So essentially, the 47 and the 85, or whatever those two numbers are, add those two numbers together, that's the amount that we need to accelerate. If this fails and general government stays, we still have the 47 or whatever that number is for the assessing to continue with the 6-year project. Okay, so again, otherwise if both of those fail, then we have no assessor, and then we're really screwed. Okay, so that's why it's structured this way.
Okay,
So that
we're well over the 5 minutes at this point now. If anybody wants to keep going, I see still some hands here on this. We're not going to get enough time to deal with everything else. Okay, there are a lot of things here. So I'm going to go on to 7. Item 7, shall the town of Lebanon raise and appropriate $20,000 to upgrade the town streetlights from current sodium lamps to LED lamps. Annual electricity savings expected to be approximately $20,000. Selectmen recommend 3 yes, Budget Committee recommends 7 yes. Other questions or comments on item 7? Yes, sir.
How many street lamps do we have in town?
94.
Other questions or comments on item 7? Yes, sir.
Will the LEDs work on a coal?
Yes, they love the cold.
They love the coal.
Yeah. They're actually brighter than cold.
Other questions or comments on item 7? Yes, sir.
Yes, does this figure reflect the recycling of the sodium lights?
Yes, they dispose of them.
Other questions on 7? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to tell you that this is one of the best questions on ballot. This is going to save you so much money. I want to say it was $37,000 a year. It was crazy amount of money spending on all these streetlights. It was crazy. And this is not only going to save you money, if these lights pay for themselves within the first year. And this company is a local company. They're out of New Hampshire. There's a problem. Call them up. They're right here. It's a fantastic company. They hire almost 100% veterans. They work with the veterans on their schedule, on their disability, whatever the case may be. This is a win-win for Lebanon, this question.
Other questions on item 7?
Please comment.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Just to clarify, this is out to bid, so we don't know what company we're going to use right now. We had a presentation by the Dover company, but the actual company to do this has not been selected yet.
So I just like to say that they actually go with a company. I don't know that I'd be so supportive. And the reason being was for all the things that I just said. The presentation that was made included the colored LED lights, so that you're not having the really harsh bright blue lights that we all associate with headlamps that we see coming at us that we can't see through. This particular company did a fantastic job on their presentation and impressed the heck out of me, and that's not easy to do. So I just like to say they addressed migratory bird patterns, which was one of my concerns. They addressed sleep patterns, which was one of my concerns. So just saying, that particular company, I would 100% support.
Questions on item 7?
You just said that this was a bid item.
Yes.
So what happens if the bid is more than 20,000? Is it shut off?
If it's more than 20, then we don't have the money to do it. So then the selectmen have to figure that out themselves. They could pull it from contingency, I suppose, but yeah, the selectmen will have to deal with that.
Other questions on item 7? Seeing none. Item 8.
Oh, let me just, it's actually gonna be more than 20, but what the plan is that, think of it, you got 37,000, I think, is what we spend, don't quote me on the number, but I think that's close, is what we spend on streetlights for a year. So come July 1st, thinking we got a budget of 37,000. So we're using that plus the 20 for the, whatever that number is, I don't know what, but that's the combination to pay for it, because we're gonna do this, the intent is the bids are due, I think, June 16th. And then hopefully after that, we'll be doing the project. So we'll see those savings right away. So what's currently budgeted for are the sodiums. Obviously, if we change the LEDs right away, we're going to save all that money right up front. So there shouldn't be an issue that if the bid will probably be more than 20. But that's why, because we're using some of the budgeted money already.
So the whole total project should not cost more than $57,000.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's right.
Item 8.
And that's power.
We're over our 5 minutes. Item 8. Will the town of Lebanon vote to adopt the statutory town manager plan found in MRSA Title 38, Section 2631 to 2638? Questions or comments on the town manager plan? Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna have a little bit of a long-winded one here.
No, you're not. You're going to do it.
All right,
You're going to
no,
say
I am,
it's
sir.
going to be concise. All right.
That'll be to the point.
Short. And
They are the triumvirate. This is a republic, okay?
You're not going to pick on anybody.
Are we at war?
No. I want you.
No, seriously, are we at war? Because you're talking about appointing a Caesar, an appointed, unelected official in the form of a town manager. All right? That's what I'm saying. This is a republic still. So I elected the triumvirate. I'll now elect the quintuplets, whatever they want to be, the quintumvirate. Here's the thing. You put this in between me and my town government, I got a bone to pick with everybody, because the town manager is not, I think, where we need to be heading. That's an autocratic position. That's it.
Thank you. Other questions or comments on item 8? Yes, sir.
This, I guess I don't know how this is going to be implemented. I mean, it just seems rather vague, and there's no numbers associated with it.
You mean salary?
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, you have to, you accept it, and then the salary would be next year, because you can't do it.
Oh, okay, so this would be
For
giving
June,
selectmen the permission to
yes. We adopt
begin
it.
implementing it, and then next year we would vote.
Yeah, the money would be included next year.
Other questions or comments on item 8? Yes, sir.
Again, you're going to exceed local control. One of the things in here is that we could become the rump state for somebody else's town manager through shared responsibility. Say they want to share responsibility with Lebanon, they could take us over. We could be North Berwick North.
Talk to me. Talk to me. All right. Are you set? Thank you. Other questions or comments on item 8? Yes, sir.
Well, if I may say, I am on a couple of boards, and I have seen the selectmen put in many hours attending our board meetings, and I honestly don't know how they do it, frankly, for what we're paying them, and they have lives too. So I think a town manager, somebody we pay specifically for those responsibilities, would they're citizens just like the rest of us.
Other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
So, John, just to tell you, a town manager is not necessarily a citizen of this town. A town manager does come with educational requirements. It's also a very expensive position. And Guy was right about one thing, that they then become the go-between between your selectmen and your citizenry. So, some things, I mean, I haven't examined the whole entire town manager thing altogether, because I'm kind of waiting to see how everybody votes, whether they want it or not. But certainly, if you give the the town the right to vote to implement a town manager, they could actually begin the hiring process right away. They could hire somebody, they could create a contract with them, and then you would see their salary next year on your ballot, and that is the truth. But they could begin that hiring process right away. You know, this is giving them the right to adopt that statutory town manager position. And although I don't think that they could overextend their budget that we're giving them now, they could actually enter into that and get ready to hire a town manager. But certainly it comes with educational requirements that are huge. It gives you a continuity between elected officials and boards and committees. So there are good points and there are bad points to the whole town manager thing. Of course, Corinna's going to get up and slap me upside the head for saying that there might be a few bad points, but certainly I don't think that just this little blurb is enough. There's not enough research into that for the town.
Other questions or comments on item 8?
I told you she was on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I just wanted to have their moment, but I was quite surprised that this was on the ballot this year without a citizen petition, which I'm kind of curious to ask the selectmen why they decided now to just put it on.
I have always believed in a town manager, and, okay, I've always believed in a town manager. I think that's where we need to go. They're educated, they can do the budgets, and read this and make your own decision. This tells you exactly what they do, so I've always been in favor of a town manager.
In like, just to reinforce what Deborah said, it's an educated person that is hired, that would be a hired employee that would help eliminate a lot of things slipping through the cracks and putting so much pressure on the selectmen from only part-time people and obviously having gone to school to do this particular duty, so to speak. It's a big job being a selectman. And also it is, the selectmen will determine the salary and the compensation. And if that person isn't doing a good job for our town, which is well over 6,000 people now, we can hire someone else.
Other questions or comments on item 8?
Yes, sir.
Just to, she had asked, just to, in response, there's a ton of work that has to be done in this town. I think Paul knows, I know, we all know, I mean, we're trying to do it, but there's only so much time. We spend a lot of time putting out fires. Sorry, Chief, not your fires, other fires. That there's other good stuff that we can do that we just don't have time. It's a matter of where it sits on that priority list. Having a town manager that was working 40 hours a week would be a huge help. They're qualified. They know how to do community grants. They do grant writing. There's all sorts of skills that they have that as selectmen we don't. We could try to learn it and try to do our best, but we're not qualified to the level that a lot of town managers are. Are they cheap? No, they're not, because they're qualified. Okay, but then your selectmen become, if that happens, then your selectmen become council. And then what they do is they don't get paid an hourly rate. At that point, they ought to be getting paid just a stipend. So that number ought to go way down, because they're not doing all this daily stuff that we're doing now. That's what the town manager does. They're just coming in maybe once every 2 weeks for their meetings. And a town manager does not step between you and your elected officials. You elect your elected. If your elected official says, hey, I don't want to talk to you, go talk to the town manager first, then don't vote for him. They elected you. So you're responsible to the people as an elected official, whether you're a council person or whether you're a selectman. So the town manager doesn't step in the middle of it. But it also helps from the town perspective, because if you're a town employee, how many bosses do you have? Well, right now you got 3. We're bosses. Come June, it's going to be 5 bosses. That's how it is, because you don't have a town manager. And each one of us we don't have a hierarchy here, and we're all equal. So again, a town manager makes a town function a lot better because you got one boss.
Other questions on item 8?
I just want to point this out. It's a great point, because you say it's a very large burden to shoulder, but there are now going to be 5 selectmen, and this is a very new change for this town's government, so adding another layer onto the town government on top of this all is kind of like, wow, how big is this town going to change? So I'm just throwing that out there.
Yes, Dan, you have a question on item 8? I think your name is on.
Marissa Albert, Spencer Lane. I am so for this question, and I think it's very important. I agree with Laura. We're going to now have 5 selectmen. It is so hard. I've been working in municipal government for 19 years. I've worked under a selectman only form of government, and it's so hard to have 5 different people to answer to. The town manager form of government, you answer to that town manager, but the town manager are going to have 5 bosses, and that's who they answer to. But not only do they help with the budget process, they make sure that our budget actually stays in line, and no department heads are going over their budget line. They help with meetings, they help with grant writing, and they help oversee the departments every single day, which these people cannot oversee the departments every day. And this town needs that. There are a lot of things going on in this town that need a lot of oversight that they can't get.
Other questions on item 8? Yes, ma'am. Very briefly, we're way over our time. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. There is also a really good point where a good town manager will bring in more than they get in grant writing and misuse of funds or whatever. We've all been through that before. But also, just a quick point. I know, Kyle, you have seen the comprehensive plan, and I'm hoping everybody else has had a chance to review some of it. But there is going to be a lot that the selectmen are going to be responsible in the goals, policies, and strategies, which now with a select board of 5, we can really look and move this town forward with having subcommittees on all these different areas in our town. And keep that in mind too. And you're asking your selectmen to move your town forward into the future. Where are they going to find the time?
Okay, we are way over. Item 9. The town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $691,200 for government expenses for the town office, including elections, assessing agent, the selectmen's wages, and expenses. Insurance is also now included in general government. Selectmen recommend yes vote on 3 votes. Budget committee recommends yes for 7 votes. Are there questions on item 9? Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to know why all these were put into one budget instead of kept into the budgets which they were in, and how, if I looked at the budget, would I be able to pick out what's actually happening in a department with the new way you've done this?
So the only thing that was added was insurance this year. So, and yes, that has its own line items for insurance. So you clearly can see what those numbers are.
This is not the only. This is not the only place that you put budgets together. I don't know. I really don't know why you put budgets together rather than almost separate, so we really see what's going on in each individual column.
Selectmen answer the question, or I already did. Other questions? Yes, sir. Questions on item 9?
What's the increase over last year?
413 last year.
What?
413 last year. But you got to add the insurance in.
Other questions on item 9?
So also included in this, a lot of the, last year for CFO, we had the code enforcement, part of his budget was in his supplies, like we heard. And there were some little picky things like your paper for your children's board or your paper for conservation commission, whatever everybody used for supplies, there were these little tiny picky lines that were maybe like $80 or something. So a lot of
10, shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to place in the building capital reserve fund to include upgrades and modifications as well as large-scale repairs of municipal buildings or grounds totaling $10,000 or more. Below that is the paragraph that sets up the criteria for how that will be spent. Selectmen recommend 3 yes, 0 no. Budget committee recommends on a 6 to 1 vote yes. Are there questions or comments on item 10? Yes, sir.
All right, if we did retain the Old Town Hall on Center Road, would this be the fund we use to repair it? It's over $10,000. Be over $10,000 for repairs.
So, to answer your question, yes, could the selectmen vote to use this money to repair that building? Yes, they could.
They could.
Is there any intention to do that? No. And again, that's never been broached. This is really meant for repairs of current town hall or like a fire station that needs repairs. It's not meant to do the old town hall.
Right.
My guess is the selectmen would be better off putting a number before the people and asking the people for that specific authority. But could it be used? Arguably, yeah, it probably could.
Additional questions on item 10? Yes, sir.
Does the town of Lebanon currently have a building capital reserve fund or a rainy day fund, or whatever you want to call it?
Well, we don't have a rainy day fund. We currently have a building capital reserve fund. This is being added to that, please. My latest number is $49,985.
Other questions on item 10? Yes, sir.
Do we have a basic list of the repairs that you're looking for?
I don't believe there's any scheduled repairs at this time. There is some work that's going to have to get done to Station 1, to the floor, which is some cement work. And that's the only thing that I know of that's out there. Is that right?
Other questions on item 10? Seeing none, item 11, shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $21,230 for the operation of animal control officers and expenses? Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends 4 yes, 3 no. Are there questions or comments on item 11? Yes, sir.
Can the budget committee please explain the split?
Anybody on the budget committee? Yes, ma'am, you're on budget committee.
So I think, explain that, I didn't get to go into specifics about the vote. But I will tell you that, these will work out. And, I would get a call from the kid one time, they're out there. And, the split came because there was some controversy over the way 1 or 2 people felt about personalities of the animal control officers. So that's where the split came.
Additional comments or questions on item 11? Seeing none, item 12. The town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 for legal fees. Selectmen recommends yes. Budget committee recommends yes. 7-0. Are there questions or comments on item 12? Seeing none, item 13. So the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $64,153 to cover the cost of emergency dispatching for the Emergency Services Department and for radio tower rental. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends yes. Are there questions or comments on item 13?
What are we paying now?
We did 12 on legal fees. Got no questions. We're on 13 now. Go ahead. Yes, sir. You have a question.
What are we paying now?
Other questions on item 13? None. Item 14. The Town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 for the contingency fund. Selectmen recommend yes, Budget Committee recommends yes, 6, no, 1. Other questions or comments on item 14? Seeing none. Item 15, shall the Town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $109,565 for the combined department budgets of codes and land use, which includes the code enforcement officer, planning board, appeals board, and conservation commission. Selectmen recommend 3 yes, Budget Committee recommends yes 3, no 4. Other questions on item 15? Ms. Mann.
Could Budget Committee tell us who voted no, why?
For the budget committee.
I voted no.
Why?
130% increase in 2 years. That's why I voted no.
Other questions? Yes, ma'am, on item 15.
So I wasn't there for the vote and that meeting, but I can tell you, I would have voted no, and I'll tell you why. So right now, but the code enforcement officer is the highest paid person in the town, $60,000. They're asking for $4,000 a year increase on that. They're tripling his travel expenses. This budget got lumped together so that it now reflects planning board, appeals board, and conservation commission. So it looks like there's like 15 to 20 people all included on this budget. But I will tell you, your planning board, your appeals board, your conservation commission, people are all volunteers. The most that they're costing you is training and supplies. So I would say basically $100,000 of this is completely pre-recorded for this budget. And I personally had issues where I asked selectmen to have some issues looked into, and I've been told kind of some maybe. I'm not. Thank you.
Questions or comments on item 15? Yes, ma'am.
This really speaks to what I said before, is that putting budgets together. When you put them together, you don't really know what's going on. And it doesn't make sense to me that you would put this all together. What it appears to be is that just you can skip money underneath and the top looks the same. And I just think that I want to know who's spending the money and where it's going.
Other questions or comments on item 15?
One other thing I did want to add is that this also includes James Clark, who's Jen Griffin. She's fantastic. So I will say that her salary is also included in that. I would never begrudge her and make love it. She's also going to training on plumbing and wastewater treatment inspections. But the $64,000 a year you pay for a code enforcement officer that works 4 days a week.
Any questions or comments on item 15? Yes, sir.
We also have a code enforcement officer who's doing a good job and is very knowledgeable about the law. Is applying the law.
Any questions or comments on item 15? Oops, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
I will say that, yes, the code enforcement officer is paying, or the budget is asking for $64,000, which is a raise from what he had last year, which was $62,000. Okay, not a huge raise, about 3% or so, a little bit over 3%, I believe. If you look at the market rate, North Berwick's code enforcement, I believe, is getting paid $67,000. North Berwick is smaller than Lebanon, has a smaller square mileage than Lebanon. So, and again, this guy has 20 years of experience. Now, any enforcement action, code enforcement, animal control, okay, those are enforcement, they're thankless jobs because they're telling people what to do or what they can't do. Our code enforcement here in town, we're mandated to follow codes, building codes, by the state. Okay, we don't have our own code anymore. We're not allowed to have our own code. It's a state mandated code. I believe people, when they're buying houses here, want those houses to be up to code. I mean, those are safety issues. Codes are done for safety reasons. So he's got a lot of experience. He has a lot of experience along shoreline zoning. This town didn't have any shoreline zoning to speak of, even though we're required by the state to do it. We were, 2 years ago when we hired him, right before we hired him, we were about to get in trouble, okay, by the state because we had enforcement actions that hadn't happened. That were shoreline zoning violations that the DEP was about to fine the town. So there were permits that were given to people that shouldn't have been, and legal costs were used against those. So those were all costs of not having a code enforcement officer that was doing their job properly. So there are other costs, and so yes, is he expensive, but he's in line with Southern Maine. He works 35 hours a week, but yes, he only works 4 hours. 4 days, sorry, 4 days, not 4 hours. But he's putting in 35 hours, so he's a full-time employee. So he does a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff going on in this town. A big part of this increase in this budget was the increase in hours for the land use clerk, who is Jen Griffin, okay, because she is overwhelmed with work. She can only do so much, she needed more hours. And this was probably not even enough to do what she has. Most towns our size have a full-time planner, as well as a code enforcement officer. We do not. So right now she's part-time. So this increases it up to 25. But do people that got away with stuff before, do they not like the code enforcement officer because now they're going to do it by the book and by the rules? Probably. So, I mean, that's the cost of doing things right. He came in here and asked, what do I have to enforce? What's the law? The law are ordinances. It's not what he decided to do. The building codes are what the state gives him, and the ordinances are what you people voted on. That's what he enforces. He doesn't enforce his own rules. He enforces the rules that you guys gave him to enforce.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay. Yes.
My name is Jen Griffin, and I'm the police clerk. And yes, it seems like a lot of hours that are being added on. In the past, I've worked mostly evenings, I made my own schedule like a big deal. I now have set hours. With that being said, nobody in the office has been here for a year yet. I've been working with the town since 2006. I've been relying upon Henry to answer questions and to help out. That's still going to go up to him. We now have the site plan review, it goes on the planning board, that's added a lot of work. I've been assigned to the appeals board, to do an office secretary work, that's additional work. The E911, which Chip has been helping with, and thank God, this is fantastic. That had to be taken over as well. It had a lot of problems with it. So the budget last year and the amount of hours did not count some of these things because I wasn't giving those tests until after the fact. So this seems like a lot, but those are some of the reasons as to why.
Other questions or comments on item 15? Over 5.
Now, real quick.
Really?
Again, I have absolutely no problem with the budget of the land use clerk. I think she's well worth your time and effort and your money. My problem comes with 3 times the amount for travel expenses for your code enforcement officer. It comes with a larger salary for already who is the highest paid employee in the town of Lebanon, 4 days a week. And I don't believe in selective enforcement. I think he's breaking the law. You don't break the law, treat him the same. And that's my issue with the budget. And I know you know, so I don't, you guys have to educate yourself and make up your own mind, but this will be.
Item 16.
One quick question.
Yes.
Does the code enforcement officer use his own vehicle, or does the town provide his own vehicle? So he gets reimbursed for mileage and wear and tear? That's the town.
Moving on to item 16. Items, I'm sorry.
Just mileage that he has to put down on his sheet when his mileage is.
Item 16, so the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $39,000 to fund the no spray contract with Central Maine Power. I recommend yes, budget committee recommends 4 yes, 3 no. Questions or comments on item 16?
What's a no spray?
Somebody explain what the no spray contract is.
They stopped, they requested it years ago before. And they used to spray paint and orange. So they used to use these orange before they reused, so that they, so rather than pay them to approve and cut. Branches. So they're not calling them, drugs and maintenance.
You're paying CMP maintenance for their power.
Yes. I agree. That's why I wouldn't tell them, it used to be $12,000 to $39,000. And it's their property, so why are we paying the opinion? Even though Lebanon's the only town in the state that don't allow them to spray.
Well, the town I came from, we didn't allow them to spray either. We didn't pay them to trim their lines.
Other questions or comments on item 16? Seeing none. Item 17, shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,060 for the Lebanon Recreation Park, which includes $1,500 for the annual Lebanon Festival? Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends yes. Questions or comments on item 17? Yes, sir.
Just wondering what the balance of that $4,000 does or is for. Because we know that.
Balance of,
Yeah, there's $1,500 set aside for the annual festival. What's the balance used for?
She does trunk or treat, she does craft fairs, she does a lot of different activities for the community, and that's what it's for. It's for those supplies.
Okay, yeah. Questions on item 17?
So, Bob, did you have a chance to find out where the $1,000 from last year's festival is?
The question is on the $1,000 left over from last year. Is that your question?
Remember I asked you about that during selectmen's meeting, and I told you that there had been money set aside after last year's festival that didn't come back to the town, that was set aside supposedly for a scholarship from the Lebanon Festival.
There's $600 on hand right now that's going to be given to us after this year's.
Where is it?
She has it right now.
So a town employee maintained for over a year, $600.
We're not.
So I'm just asking.
Okay, this is
So
not,
you're
this is
getting
not,
that
this is
back?
not pertinent to your.
Well, it is
This
because there's money that's being
Moving on
spent
to
on
item
different things
18.
here.
Moving on to item 18. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $438,235 for the operation of the Lebanon transfer station? Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends yes. Are there questions on item 18? Lebanon transfer station. Yes, sir.
When was the last time that was put out for bid?
Question is, when was the last time it was put out for bid?
Good question, I don't know. Don't know that.
When was the last time the hauling was put on to bid?
Don't know.
Further question? Yes.
Is there a location where I can find a line item that comes up with this figure?
Yeah, the budget numbers, yeah.
There's a line item budget.
For outside, is a line item budget for waste services, it's an outside services, so let's go to the waste management, yes.
It's for the whole transfer station. He has a line item budget.
The transfer station has a line item budget. One of those lines is actually for the contract for waste management.
Okay. Where can I see the whole budget? Okay.
You could just ask and we'll give it to you.
All right, so we're now, that's your question. There, if you want to look at it. Are there other questions on item 18? Yes.
Comment.
Sure.
Okay, so this goes back to town manager, because all of these guys are part-time. We have a town manager who's managing the transfer station and managing, because waste management is hugely expensive.
I know, I manage the
They just
transfer
go out there after that. I don't know if that's something to hold you. Yeah. You know,
That would
I'm sure they probably are.
Other questions on transfer station? What's that?
I said, what was the question on the transfer station?
People were asking the specific details of the budget, or at least one of
They
them.
want to do what? What did they want?
They want to know what the budget for hauling was.
They want $4,000 more dollars.
So we're having a conversation here, we don't need to do that, so if I have no other questions on item 18, we're going to move to item 19.
The question was, what is the criteria of other towns for their trash over to Lebanon? Do you
Okay.
guys have a criteria on that? Is
Wait a
there
minute,
any
you got a
monitoring?
question you need to, I can't even see, you need to stand up. Mr. Excuse me.
I have a right to look at the budget if I want to. She has the right to. So we're just going to ask. What's your question?
My question was, what is the criteria for out of state trash coming into the state of Lebanon with a Lebanon truck? Or somebody who owns the truck from Lebanon bringing trash from the state? Who's monitoring this? Do you have any monitoring of people coming in?
You're talking about the operation of the transfer station.
Talking about independent haulers, we're talking about haulers, or?
I think she's talking about people who are bringing trash into the town.
I'm talking about people who have a nice big vehicle, go to other towns, collect money to pick up trash, and then go to the town of Lebanon and dump it in our dump.
They're not allowed.
Do you monitor that? Do you, like, if a big huge truck comes in with a bunch of trash on it, you don't say you just come from your house? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, again, we have some haulers, but it's, again, the policies, back to the point about a town manager, there's a lot of weaknesses in this town as far as management, but you're supposed to have stickers. We have some commercial haulers, okay, but are they going to another town and collecting trash and bringing it here? They could. How do we police that? Do we follow them? So those are the things that have to be answered, but they're not supposed
Do they
to.
pay us, do they pay the town to bring trash to the dump and they haul it and they make money?
No.
Okay, so it's free service for them to make money on the people in the town that bring their own trash. There's nothing done about the
That's why
Conversation we've had many times, the source of.
I voted for like 20 years against the budget, you know, the budget committee for that same reason. Because we have commercial haulers bringing up trash, I don't care if it's in town. And any other town around here, actually, when waste management was at the selecting meeting, Lebanon is the only one that allows commercial haulers to haul in one dump their trucks 4 or 5 times in a day, and send the truck in and over to the project center, where the town usually just pays the tip fee, but we don't know where that trash comes from, we don't know what's in it, and there's a lot of stuff, like, commercial haulers all in one dump needs a hazmat license, because what's in that truck, you know? All the stuff I brought up is political issue in the town, is that's why I voted against it. Like I said, 20 years this year, I just said, I'm done arguing about it, so just.
I was just wondering, yeah, why would you want money if we can bring it?
The other part of this is that I live in a different town. Every town has this issue. Everybody feels like somebody else's garbage is being dumped in their town. They all have a specific thing. Yeah, I know. All right, let's move on to item 19. Okay. So the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $763,303 for the operation of the highway department. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends yes with 6 votes and 1 abstention. Other questions or comments on item 19? Yes, ma'am.
Does this include like salt and sand for what we only use in Lebanon, which is sand?
Good question. Does it include salt and sand? Anybody know?
Yes.
Yes. Salt and sand.
Is there, I know this is a public hearing, and I would love to not have so much sand used in this town. It drives me crazy. And you know, we worry about our tax base, which is the waterfront, and you have all of that sediment from the sand running into our water and with stormwater issues. I would really love to see less sand
Other questions or comments on item 19? None. Item 20. The town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $500,000 to be placed in the paving capital reserve fund for the purpose of road reconstruction and paving of town-owned public roads. And again, in italics, there's the spending criteria. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends yes. Are there questions on item 20? Yes, sir.
Do we have a list of the roads that are going to be paved with this $500,000? And is there a line item in the budget already for paving?
Question on the line item in the budget.
All our paving,
So you have CIP for paving, and then you're going to turn around and you're asking for another $500,000.
It used to be 115 over, now it's 500,000. The CIP went up that.
For just for paving?
That's okay.
So what did you get for $100,000 some other dollars last year for paving?
Question on how much was accomplished last year?
Okay.
Does anyone know what was paid last year?
No.
That was
We're fine on this one.
Okay.
I'm going to figure it out.
All right. Other? Dave?
His budget, $763,000 culverts, vacuum, as well as the salt,
It's a good, okay, it's a good sized budget.
Reconstruct, that's to regrind, build the road, the specifications.
Okay.
That's what this is. It's
I
a
have a
start.
$1.3 million budget.
You're right, huh?
For a town, for a town that has
Well, you vote that for good.
yeah, but how many miles of road?
Oh, we're having a conversation here. We just have one person asking questions and another person answering. Not a conversation. Dave, are you done? Okay, other questions or comments on item 20? Yes, ma'am.
I didn't quite understand, or wasn't properly answered, I don't think. The plan for what roads will be worked on?
Does anybody know if there's a plan for what roads are going to be worked on?
I know they took my road away, so I'm gonna go now.
Dave, do you know?
We're talking about doing the 5 members committee before one of the recommendations.
Well, if you read the road study, they'll never do anything with my road, if they already took it away. What? Don't worry about it, I'm hard to fall apart.
What's your question? The question is, do we know what roads are going to be paved?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
I may have, I believe the intent is to try and use the road study, which has a priority list of the roads to be done. However, this is a big however, and it happened all over the state of Maine. This winter sucked. And a lot of roads got beat up this winter. And so there's gonna be areas of road that are gonna have to be done. And so how that gets all incorporated, I don't know. So that's kind of the wild card, because there were sections of roads that got totally beat up that are gonna have to get fixed. So those are gonna have to those will end up taking priority over what's on that road study. But the belief is, I believe, is to try to follow the road study that was done by engineers.
When was that done?
Last year. So it was just done. The other thing I will say is, if you try to compare this budget with other towns, understand that Lebanon is 57 square miles, a lot bigger than almost any other town in York County. Okay, so it goes by how your roads are. That's why our roads suck, because we haven't put the money in it, and we got a lot of them.
Yeah, but I do understand that, but is there a plan?
And I guess the answer,
There isn't a plan.
you keep asking the same question. The answer is no. There's no specific list. This is the answer. Yes, ma'am. Item 20.
So the first thing I tell you is the road commissioner is an elected position. You choose your road commissioner every year. You also choose to give him a budget, which he has no control. He cannot choose on his own which roads. He cannot create a plan and say these are the roads we do. That is all controlled by your selectmen. Because the selectmen say yes or So while you elect a road commissioner and you hold him responsible for your roads, he has no control over his own budget. That's the first thing I'm saying. The second thing I'd like to ask is, where is, maybe I'm missing, where is the question on the implementation of the road study?
See the question.
I don't need that.
Do we know what we have for road mileage?
Yeah.
57.
Well, how many miles of road?
Square miles, right?
How many miles of road?
How many lane miles does Lebanon run?
It's in the road study, I don't have it off the top of my head.
Other questions
You
on
can
item,
find that study online.
other questions on item 20? Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any,
Stand up, please.
I had the word, and I lost the word, but I want to know, when we put in new houses, who's determining whether there should be a culvert there? Because we have a whole bunch of houses down the road from us, not one culvert. All the water washes into the road, all their dirt from the driveway into the road, because there's no culvert in there. And who is, overseeing this project? The road commissioner?
Road commissioner, there's a driveway permit that the road commissioner
Okay,
signed
so,
off.
yeah, people want to vote in and
Other questions or comments on item 20? Chris first.
I have a quick comment. We can't just keep paving our roads. I mean, up Union Road, I remember when they paved that the last time, they put this one next to on Chicken Road, they put the one for the dump, making a wheeler with a load of hot dog, because they put like a foot thick. All you're doing, and I've said this for years, you just put across the line paving. You need to fix the roads. Either mill, grind them, fix them right, change the culverts. That road study, if you read the road study, it's $3 million for the first year. Over a 10-year period, it's going to cost $12 million. But there's nothing in there about ditching, culvert replacement. That's just just a shim and overlay the roads. And the roads need a lot more than shim and overlay. It can't be done right. Up at Feed Road, I think the total cost is like $860,000 just to shim and overlay this road right here. We're never going to get ahead doing that kind of work. There's so much ways to save money for the town.
There's no questions on item 20. Yes, ma'am.
Again, I live on the waterfront, I pay the highest rate in town for taxes, and we have a dirt road. Okay, so why doesn't anybody else put it on 100%? Okay, I mean, that would be really nice. Stop wasting your money, live like that.
Other questions or comments on item 20? Moving on, item 21. The town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $40,000 to place in the bridge capital reserve fund for necessary bridge repairs and replacements of town-owned bridges. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends yes. Other questions on item 21? Yes, sir.
We voted last year, we voted to put 40,000 in 3 years for the new Bridge Road Bridge. Is this that 40,000?
This is the second year of this, yeah.
This is the second or the third?
Second.
Item questions on item 21? Seeing none. Item 22. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 place in the Sand Falls Watershed Protection District Capital Reserve Fund. This fund is to be used for the protection of the Sand Falls watershed, which includes northeast Milton, Spalding Ponds. Current protection activity is European naiad eradication efforts. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends yes. Other questions on item 22? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Melissa Albert, thanks for letting me just leave back here. I live on the waterfront, which I'm very grateful for, but I asked to pay for this. As we all know, in many towns, waterfronts are in your tax base, and I think we really need to invest in that. And once we have this basis, we don't get rid of it, our property values are going to go down, which is going to be bad for Lebanon. So I just encourage you to vote yes for this. Thank you.
Other questions on item 22? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that TPPA covers the flood protection. They're very much for this. This has been less money in the past, but because the state and the federal government have given a lot of grants that they did not have available this year, opposed to Lebanon and Milton, but Milton has paid their share, have paid their fair share, and we also appropriated money, and I have to say that they've been very, very good. If they didn't use all the money, or if they got a grant later on in the year that they could use, they have used all of it. So, I mean, they're very responsible about using this. It's not like a blank check is 10 grand. If they only use 6, that's all they ask for. So they've been really good about it.
Any questions on item 22? Item 23, shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $499,503 for the operation, upkeep, and purchase of equipment and supplies for the Lebanon Fire and EMS Department? Selectmen recommend yes, Budget Committee recommends 6 yes, 1 no. Are there questions on item 23? Yes, sir.
How many full-time firemen would be?
Me,
Come on up.
Just you.
I'm the only full-time fighter in town. Okay. And I'm also the paramedic in town.
Other questions on item 23?
In the ball wash. And, yeah, that's it.
Item 24. Ooh, I'm sorry, go ahead. 23?
Chief, do you have a plan on buying any new equipment with that money?
This year, yeah, we're purchasing.
Other than the stretcher?
Yes, we'll be purchasing different hand tools that we need. We'll be purchasing some fire gear, EMS equipment that we need, like backboards and so forth for car accidents or people who've fallen downstairs and stuff like that. So the money is there for the use of new equipment.
And that comes out of this?
And that comes out of that operation budget, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on item 23? Item 24, shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,000 to place in the fire truck capital reserve fund for the purpose of purchasing a fire truck? Selectmen recommends yes, Budget Committee recommends 6 yes, 1 no. Are there questions on item 24? Yes, ma'am.
Do we know how much is in that capital reserve?
I think that's going to bring it up to around 100,000.
And when are you slated to purchase a new truck?
We should have 5 years ago.
What is it?
What's that?
What are you looking?
The next truck we're looking to purchase is a tank truck. Portable tank on wheels, 3,000 gallons, and also double as a pumper in case the pumper breaks down for some reason. We can have it as a backup.
Is that replacing one? Do we already have one? Or
It will.
in addition to?
We actually have 2 right now. One's in 1989, the other one's in 1997. Right now, some of the valves are leaking off the tank, where we go up and back up and dump the water into the big pool that we have. And so we're having problems with maintenance of the trucks are getting older. We can't. Sometimes we're having a hard time finding parts for some of the equipment. So eventually we're going to need to replace the tank truck. I did also write a grant for one, and we're still in the running for the Assistance Firefighters grant process.
The current balance is $15,249.
15,000?
$15,249.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
The current balance.
Other questions on item 24? Seeing none, item 25, shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,500 to place in the protective clothing capital reserve fund for the purpose of purchasing fire and EMS protective clothing? Selectmen recommend yes. Budget Committee recommends yes, 6, no, 1. Are there questions on item 25? Seeing none, item 26, shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 to place in the communications capital reserve fund for the purchase of purchasing communications equipment for the Lebanon Fire and EMS Department? Selectmen recommend yes. Budget Committee recommends yes, 6, no, 1. Are there questions on item 26? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'd just like to ask, who on the Budget Committee doesn't want any commitment to the fire department, and why? There's a no on one. Why? Just why is it no?
It's no, because it's part of the issue, it's a legal.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
David,
I said it's because it's part of a wish list, and I don't vote for wishes. There's a lot of people that have wishes in this town that don't do what they want. This budget's $499,000. If you wanted to do a budget, it would be $616,898. That would be all inclusive, rather than a budget of $500,000 and then having a wish list. Spending money that's not necessarily spent at this time.
okay, you have further questions?
Yes, I'd like to know if anyone over there has a good reason for voting no.
Wait a minute. Not going to go there, Eddie.
Good try, though.
Okay, other questions? Yes, Eddie.
I just have a comment. I think it's important to definitely put this money away, and I think protecting the building for our fire department is very important. You know, they have to make sure that they're protecting themselves going into a fire, and then making sure they're not bringing home toxics to their families. I definitely don't think this is an issue, and I think it's good to have a reserve amount, because I just don't think we can say it's a wish list to protect.
Other questions on item 25? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that, while I understand that these are necessary items, I love every one of those guys, and I'll tell you that. Tell you how heartbroken I would be if we lost cancer, or if we lost breathing apparatus failed because it was old. I'd be heartbroken. I love every one of those guys, and I'll tell you, I don't care which one of you was sick, I don't care which one of you was bleeding, I don't care which one of you was dying, every one of them will be right there for you. This is not to purchase new equipment tomorrow morning. This is the capital reserve fund that puts money away so that if they need new equipment, they have the ability to purchase it without waiting for June to roll around, so that they can ask for a big, huge chunk of money, which may be voted down. This puts away a little bit at a time, so that when they need new equipment, they can purchase it. And, I'm going to tell you, there is a guy or girl on that department that I would go back for, and I was saying that openly as a member of our budget committee, that, yeah, I think it might be to have a little bit of a conflict of interest, maybe so, but I'll tell you something, it's not one of them that is worth this money. Keep it breathing.
Additional questions? David?
I voted for the budget, really should, because any fire department, less than a half mile from the fire department, the house is in a foundation. You got a problem with the fire department. Either Slover's old house by the mill, which is a half mile from the fire department, is in the foundation. It tells you how efficient they are.
Other questions or comments on item 25? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Mary Lane, as someone that's running for selectman, okay, I really want to, should be so insulting to the fire department. They've done a lot, everybody.
Whoa, wait a minute. David. All right, we're going to stick to the issue. Yes, ma'am, on 25.
It's a lot cheaper to build up the CIP than it is to ask for a chunk of change in 2 years when they need to replace that equipment. You're building the fund gradually. If this was just going into the budget, I would have been against it. Where it's going into a CIP and there are administrators over the CIPs, it's just a piggy bank that anybody can go into. They have to have justification, and it goes to the selectmen, and the selectmen decide where that money is going to be allocated. There are more eyes on this than there has been in the past. Anything that's going into a CIP is in its own account. It is reserved for those funds only. It's a lot cheaper to do it this way than it is to ask for a chunk of change.
Other questions or comments on item 25? Moving on, item 26. Will the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 to be placed in the communications capital reserve fund for the purpose of purchasing communications equipment for the Lebanon Fire and EMS Department? Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends yes 6, no 1. Are there questions on item 26? None. Oops, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
You get $500,000 budget there. Why don't you take it out of there?
We are, but right now, there are communities that we work with that are mutual aid, like Rochester, Sanford, South Berwick, Dover. A lot of these companies are going digital. We don't have the digital capabilities because we've been on analog radio for so long that everyone's changing to digital and we won't be able to talk. So eventually we're going to have to change to digital, hence why we are actually saving the equipment and saving money now for the fund.
They'll take it out of the budget.
That part of it will come out of the budget.
Yeah.
But right now that's just going in.
You get 3 or 4 things here other than the budget.
We have to. We should. It's to protect your firefighters.
You know, the people living in it, they're gonna be hurt for long here. Spending too much money.
Other questions or comments on item 26? Doris?
I'm Doris Joaquin, and I support the fire department totally. I know you guys have put off for years supporting your fire department, upgrading your fire department, your trucks, even your roads. Look at where you are with your roads right now, because you haven't done anything over the years. And yeah, I know this budget's high, but you don't know when you're gonna need them, whether it's ambulance, fire, and fires actually travel faster now than they used to. There's a lot of videos out there that you can watch that actually tells you the different types of fires that are out now, and that everything is synthetic, so it burns quicker than it used to. You know, you can do what you want, but you really should support the fire department so that when the time comes that they need a fire truck or whatever, the money is already there.
Other questions on item 26? Yes, ma'am.
Just a statement, I believe in the fire department and EMS too, because I know what a hard time we have getting people to work for it. A lot of these people are volunteers, and I think they deserve your support.
Other questions on item 26? Seeing none, item 27. So the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 to be placed in self-contained breathing apparatus SCBA capital reserve funds for the purchase of fire and EMS SCBA equipment. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends yes. 6, no, 1. Questions or comments on item 27?
Yes, what do we have now?
Right now we have 20.
In a good case scenario, 25 personnel we have.
13 to 15. We can get averaging now.
Other questions or comments on item 27?
Balance in the account is $1,000.
What's one apparatus?
Over $2,600 just for that breathing apparatus.
So this is actually building up an account for a replacement down the road.
Yes, ma'am.
So you also have to know that sometimes they use more than one, like, they may have to change it out. They run out of here, and they sometimes we have, things would be other so that.
Other questions on item 27?
I just have one comment.
Yes.
So the bottles that we wear, the packs are good for probably 20 years, okay, 25. The bottles have to be replaced every 15, mandated by OSHA. So we have to keep buying, we have to buy 2 bottles per air pack. So that's why this is gonna work with the conjunction.
I understand.
Yep. Yep.
Other questions?
I just need to know how many you have.
Yes.
Other questions or comments on item 27? Seeing none, item 28. So the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,500 to be placed in the equipment capital reserve fund for purchasing fire and EMS equipment. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget committee recommends yes 5, 2 no. Other questions on item 28?
What equipment? We've already busted it down and buying packs, you're buying clothes, you're buying,
So,
what's different?
a few years ago, they purchased a set of jaws. Eventually, we have to replace those jaws. And that would come out of that type of fund. And the set of jaws right now, are going roughly $30,000.
This is designed more for a bigger ticket item.
Other questions or comments on item 28? Seeing none. Item 29. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $19,377 for the operation of the Martha Sawyer Community Library? Selectmen recommend yes. Budget Committee recommends yes 6, no 1. Other questions on item 29? Item 30, shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 for general assistance? We recommend yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Yes, item, you're on item,
I'm on the breakdown of the monies. York County Community Action, can you give me just
still on item 30 on general assistance. Questions on general assistance? Seeing none. Item 31. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $12,464 to support the following relief agencies according to the breakdown below? And everybody has it, I'm not going to read it. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget Committee recommends yes 6, no 1. So we have some questions. I'll go with this gentleman first.
All right, so York County Community Action, that organization got the lion's share of this line item. What is their mission for York County?
Did anybody explain what York County Community Action was? Yes. York County Community Action. Question.
York County Community Action is where you go to apply for like heating assistance. You have to go in there and fill out the application. They also help people who have a temporary, they're having a hard time with their mortgage. They help to get in touch with the fund. They work with them to rewrite mortgages. They're very active all over town here. So York County Community Action also provides like ride sharing for seniors that have to go to different doctor's offices. They provide for, well, actually, the other one is another, but they provide several different services and a lot of different services that would normally have to be handled by state agent, by state DHS. They switch over to York County Community Action and York County Community Action. So the biggest one that all of you will have heard of is life. They handle all of life.
So my question is, are we, for our residents from that organization, are we receiving a proportional amount of services for that $4,000, or do they just ask for that and get that amount?
The question is there anybody speak to the services that York County CAP provides? Just a minute, hang on. Do you want to speak to the services that CAP provides? Okay.
You don't really get anything from them. Okay? Call them. They will give seniors if they need ride, one ride a month. Okay? Meals on Wheels, I don't know where that comes from.
That's different. That's
Okay. Meals on Wheels is something else. It's a waiting list for seniors in this town. They do not get Meals on Wheels. Another thing, the American Red Cross, last time they were called was to Sue's property for that house, to help the 4 people that were in the house. The Red Cross never showed up. So why are we giving people money that don't do anything for us? That I don't understand. There's nothing on this list that the town gives to its seniors. Absolutely nothing. Thanks.
Other questions or comments on item 31? Yes, ma'am.
I actually wanted to speak on relief agencies tonight because there are some really good ones out here. The Southern Big Veteran Cemetery, they help with, because, you go from town here, easy, very good. They help with that. Lifeline, all day long. We had an incident on Saturday right down on the big old highway. My next door neighbor's home. I'll tell you that Life Like New England had a chopper ready, and they had 2 medics on that scene from 7 o'clock in the morning, well, 9 o'clock, excuse me, 9 o'clock in the morning, until well after 7 o'clock at night, that's when the 7 waiting to see if somebody was coming out of that house, and waiting to see if they could put them on a chopper and get them to a hospital. Life Like Me, fantastic agent. North Berwick Food Pantry, everybody says why North Berwick, we have a food pantry here, North Berwick Food Pantry also services Lebanon. You can go there anytime. They also provide for frozen foods and fresh foods, on top of the staples that our Lebanon Food Pantry is able to offer. The MS-8060 backpack program, fantastic. They help so many kids in this town. I can't even begin to tell you. Ryan House Project, I don't know if we'll ever use them, but they're there for children in the MS-8060 area who, for whatever reason, find themselves homeless, need a place to stay. And it could be one of our lovely kids, it could be a little person, but they're there to homeless fantastic. American Legion Post 214, they're growing. And they're doing a lot in this town. They're getting ready to do even more in this town. The ones that I have a problem with, American Red Cross will give them $250 a share. I can tell you that I go and I work with families on every single fight that we have in this town. And I will tell you that it is our townspeople coming with donations, coming with shoes, coming with toothpaste, coming with money to put these people up in a hotel. American Red Cross doesn't show up. We call them, they say they're supposed to respond within 2 hours. We never hear them. And that is the truth. We take donations and we put these people up, so and we give blood donations. For every 2 months, we're giving them blood that they go and sell, which, hey, we need the blood, we have to do it. For that, they show up. But if we have an emergency or something, not coming, ever. I'm almost finished.
I'd just like to comment on the American Red Cross.
Let her finish.
Okay, I'll comment on that.
So the other one that I wanted to talk to you about is the Southern Maine Agency on Aging. And that's where your Meals on Wheels is coming from and this ride sharing program. So if you're a senior and you're having a problem getting to your doctors, which we don't have any in Lebanon, so you always have to travel outside of Lebanon, they give you one ride a month, one. So you better figure out how to get all your doctor's appointments on the same day and concurrent times, or you're not getting there. Okay? Their Meals on Wheels program, I will tell you that the last letter that we got from them, they stated that they were servicing 13 people in London, and I'll tell you, I need more than that. Myself, Mary Lane helping me, Robbie Moore helping me, and I will tell you that I feed more people in this town on a weekly basis than Meals on Wheels does. And
Other questions on item 31? Chris?
I just had a comment about the incident on the fire at Susan. It was stated that the Red Cross wasn't involved. My girlfriend actually is a good friend with the one in charge of the Red Cross, who used to be a state trooper with the state of Maine, Sergeant Shapiro, and Karen actually contacted him herself when that fight was going on. She knew the family that was there. Sergeant Shapiro actually contacted the fire chief repeatedly, no answer. So to say that the Red Cross ain't involved, that's a lie. Because he was contacted, he tried to contact that chief. Eventually they did connect, and the Red Cross helped out. So I just want to clarify that the Red Cross was involved in that.
Okay, it doesn't serve any purpose to go back and forth. Yes.
If you need help with seniors and you're just stuck and you're not getting anywhere, Karen Garrett was a big help to me and my mother-in-law. We called her when she was or whatever. She has connections to different agencies and she can help you out. Okay? It doesn't cost anything. I'm quite sure she can do it. Thank you.
Other questions on item 31? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The only thing you guys haven't mentioned is the Kids Free to Grow, which is really Kids Free to Grow, is a 4-H program that works with children 7 to 12.
It's a different one.
No, it's not a kids, it's not through the cooperative center?
No.
All right, we're
I'll
You don't know whether they're in or not. Other questions on item 31? Seeing none. Item 32. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $21,000 for the restoration and maintenance of cemeteries in the town as mandated by Maine State Law 13 MRSA Section 1101, which includes a sum of $1,000 for the Memorial Day ceremony and for the decoration of Veterans graves as mandated by State Law Title 38 MRSA Section 2901. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget Committee recommends yes, with one abstention. Are there questions on item 32? Yes, sir.
Will the cemetery be covered under public works?
Under road.
Questions on item 32? Yes, sir.
In the referendum, it states the restoration and maintenance of cemeteries. Can anyone give me an example of what cemeteries and what has been done in the past year?
Question on what's been done in the cemeteries? Anyone know?
The bottom line that we currently have is basically been cleaning and mowing. We have not gone and done a lot of snow repair or anything like that, because that's so costly. There are cemeteries throughout the town. You start walking through the woods, you're going to start coming across them. It's quite a list that we can take care of.
Other questions on item 32? Yes,
Dean, I can tell you that, Prospect, Prospect Hill Cemetery, the town just took that over within the past couple of years, but, we were up there, put placing flags in the big, huge granite walls that are actually over, and it's dirt all spilling out of them. They're in several places in Prospect Hill Cemetery. They need to be fixed. I don't know who's in charge of doing that. I've asked, I alerted them to that, the wall being down, and I still haven't gotten an answer yet. So I don't know if that's actually part of this repair to Prospect Hill. There's several places that very great need to repair.
Other questions on item 32? Yes, sir.
What this lady just said, we allot this money. Who's controlling?
Select board controls the money.
Other questions or comments on item? Yes, sir.
Called up two statutes that Maine State Law requires this maintenance. So what happens if the fund isn't approved? How do we meet Maine law if the fund's not approved?
We have to do the minimum, and we probably have to pull it out of contingency if we have to. I mean, again, we have to, that's how the selectmen, how that board decides to do it at the time. But
other questions on item 32? Yes, sir.
Are there any of these plots still serviceable? Can you still be buried in any of these graveyards? And I see now number 37, we're adding properties to this list. So
there's still some spots in Prospect Hill that I know.
Okay, so that's my,
Prospect Hill is not, no sellable lots. There's no sale, that's right. There's still some openings, but it's family.
okay, so that's a great question. If the town owns and is responsible, liable for them, et cetera, can they make money and sell lots?
Other than the forest grove, we have to, yes. There are lots of
Questions on item 32? Item 33, shall the town of Lebanon vote to set an interest rate of 3% for state law as the rate to be paid back to taxpayers who pay amounts in excess of amounts finally assessed and authorize any such interest paid or abatements granted to be charged against the annual overlay, which is not to exceed 5% of the total assessment as per state law. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there questions on item 33?
Didn't we just vote on this a couple of years ago?
We got to do it every year.
This is a repeat every year?
We have to do it every year.
Other questions on item 33? Seeing none, item 34, shall the town of Lebanon vote to allow the tax collector to accept prepayment of taxes prior to the tax commitment date and to charge interest on unpaid taxes at the rate of 7% per annum, and to set the date when taxes are committed for fiscal year 2019-2020, which is July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, and payable as of October 15th, 2019 and April 16th, 2020. Interest will be collected after October 15th, 2019 and April 16th, 2020 respective to the building's date due. Selectmen recommend yes, Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there questions on item 34? Seeing none. Item 35. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to place any unexpended funds from the prior year into the unassigned restricted fund balance? Selectmen recommend yes, Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there questions on item 35? Seeing none. Item 36. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to authorize funding at last year's, which is 2018-19 level, for the general government, emergency services, code and land use, animal control, transfer station, and highway departments, whose new appropriation is not approved by this year's referendum vote, until such time as that any new funding is authorized for the next tax commitment. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget Committee recommends 5 yes, 2 no. Are there questions on item 36? None. Item 37. The town will vote to accept the assets of the North Lebanon Cemetery Association, including 3 separate deed properties that make up Forest Grove Cemetery, and funds of approximately $55,465.99, and authorize the Board of Selectmen pursuant to agreement recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds at book and page to sell lots in the cemetery in accordance with Title 13 MRS Section 1306. Take expenditures necessary for the ongoing care and maintenance of the cemetery, and take all of the actions that the board deem necessary in regards thereto. Selectmen recommend yes vote with 2 and 1 abstention. Are there questions on item 37? Yes.
How much are we spending to maintain cemeteries?
The 21,000.
21,000.
All.
That's all.
Forest Grove is half supported by itself and half.
And the other cemeteries that we're taking care of?
That's all included in that one cemetery referendum.
Okay.
Questions is being on item 37.
You're on that board, what are the expenses, per year it's actually 3 parts. What are the expenses per year for Forest Grove? How many lots are still available for sale? And what is the rate, per lot? In other words, is that going to continue to sustain itself? And how long before that cemetery is actually also without saleable lots?
Several lots right now, approximately $400 for a single lot. Excuse me. There's a lot of areas still left in that cemetery. That is undeveloped.
100 graves, 200 graves? Easy. And what are the expenses per year on that right now?
Right now, we're just using them all.
Is there any other anticipated work that needs to be done on that?
It's just like any other cemetery.
Other questions on item 37? Seeing none, item 38. Shall the town of Lebanon vote to appropriate all monies received from the state for snowmobile registrations to the Lebanon Trail Riders Club for maintenance of their system or network of snowmobile trails on the condition that those trails are open in the snow season to the public for outdoor recreation purposes at no charge, and authorize the municipal officials to enter into an agreement with the club under such terms and conditions as the municipal officers need to advise them for that purpose. Selectmen recommend yes. Budget Committee recommends yes. Are there questions on item 38? Yes, sir.
Just, the question would be about the monies received from the state, and who the Lebanon Trail Riders Club are. That would be the biggest question.
The Lebanon Trail Riders, obviously, is the snowmobile club in town. They had folded, I think, a couple of years ago or whatever, and they just started up again. The money that they get from state registrations is maybe $1,100 to $1,200, $1,300. That's all we get back from them.
So that's kind of my ask is, do they need to tell the state that they're a club to be recognized for us to get the monies?
From the state. Well, no, we get the money, we give it to them.
Okay, so you're getting money from the state to have the vote?
No, we're getting money back from snowmobile registrations that get registered in town.
From people in Lebanon who are
Yes,
registered?
yes, so we get money back.
Who may or may, so you're getting all the registration money back?
Well, I don't know what we're getting, but we're getting a portion.
Yeah, that's my question, is that you may register your snowmobile, it doesn't mean you're a member of the trail registry.
No, it's just any snowmobile money from town.
I'm sorry to drag this out, but,
So they don't have to be, you don't have to be a member. So in other words, if I have a snowmobile, I could use their trails. I don't have to be a member.
Okay.
Because that's the condition of the gift.
that's
That
kind
any-
of where I'm getting at.
Is that any resident can use all that stuff for free.
How is the town benefiting from this association?
So that's how they're benefiting. They're creating the trails and maintaining them. Residents can then use them for free. That's the trade-off.
Other questions on item 38? Yes, sir.
It says outdoor recreation. Does that mean restricted just to snowmobiles?
No, I believe they use a lot of the same trails for ATVs.
Well, they have a sub too.
Because a lot of the trails, when they start doing the trails, they're marked with ATV.
Yeah, they can't use them in the winter.
Not, right.
No.
No, they can't use in the winter, but I'm just saying there's a lot of those same areas.
Spring, summer, and fall, and for
Yes.
ATVs.
Yes.
Other questions on item 38? Seeing none, item 39, shall the town of Lebanon carry forward to the 2019-2020 fiscal year any remaining balances from the $8,000 that was raised and appropriated during the 2018-2019 fiscal year to be used for the completion of the comprehensive plan? Selectmen recommend yes, budget committee recommends yes, 7, 1 abstention. Any other questions on item 39? Yes.
Actually, I'm statement, you guys are obviously do this big, huge, long meeting. Our comprehensive plan meetings are a lot shorter than this. Like we get all your input, so please come. When we have comprehensive plan meetings, I'd love to hear all of this coming into our plan.
What's the next one, Deb?
Other questions, wait a minute, other questions on item 39? See none, okay. So we have 3 advisory survey questions here. I'd be happy to stand here and hear anybody talk about them if you want. Everybody, so let's go. First one is recycling. Due to changes in the recycling market, costs of recycling have increased significantly. The selectmen are seeking input should Lebanon continue its current recycling at approximate total cost of $140 a ton. Regular household waste costs approximately $106 a ton. Stop recycling and just provide for regular solid waste at $106 a ton. Provide some segregated recycling based on market conditions. Currently, cardboard has a small market and may make some sense. Does anybody want to talk about this? Yes, ma'am.
I have a quick question, it's not exactly to do with that, but it is to do with the transfer station. Township cleanup looked really good. It's a mess already. Is there any chance that once a year you have a free day at the dump so they can throw their TVs and tires in the dump instead of in our front yards?
Okay, good suggestion. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Just a question in general on the survey is, are these survey questions not a referendum because there's discretion for the selectmen to make a decision? You receive town input, is that why these survey questions?
Yeah, essentially, we're dealing with an issue right now at the transfer station with recycling. As you can tell, it costs an awful lot to recycle because the market was predominantly China, and China's market went away. So we're actually spending more, 166, whatever that number is, to get the recycling than what we do for regular solid waste. So do we continue doing that? So that's why, we're spending money and we're not, is the stuff being recycled? Yes, but essentially you're paying somebody, you're not saving, you're paying them extra money to use this stuff because there's no market. So that's why the board is seeking input. It'll be the new board of 5 that will determine if they do anything with whatever this input is. They may decide, it all depends on what it is, and so this helps give them some options to look at.
Okay, so I do appreciate that you put these hard numbers on the ballot. It's good to know that we can save money and there's a possibility too. I think I take issue though with C, because it's a very open-ended escape route for many people just to take, because it appeals to people's idea of wanting to do something but not committing to a hard number. So that's my issue with that ballot question.
So the issue with C is it's not a ballot question. This is just this is just advisory. The issue with C is you can either recycle, you can say no, but there actually is an in-between option. Right now, corrugated cardboard has a market. So you could do away with your recycling, but put a bin out there just for corrugated cardboard. And we'll actually save some money on that. And that would be the only thing that we recycle at the time being. If more markets open up down the road and then they want to do a segregated container for that, then they could do that as well when that market opens. So that's what C is designed for. There's no concrete number there because we don't know what that number is, but it's to try to see if people would like the board to investigate something in between. So.
Betty, question?
Yes, very much to you, Chip. When you put your cardboard in, will we contaminate it if we put like a pizza box in?
Yes.
In the cardboard?
So a lot of it is food. If it's food, yes, it is. So this would be more like boxes. You'd have to break down the boxes, okay. And it's that corrugated type.
So now, so what happens now is if we contaminate one of those big containers, the whole thing's contaminated. Is that correct?
If they think the contamination is high enough, yes. So all it gets dumped.
That is happening though, is it not?
Not with us, believe it or not.
No?
So we have not been, and actually they can fine us for that.
But we're not making money.
So, but we're not making money. It's costing us more.
So I guess my suggestion would be to not go with the cardboard because you're going to have people throwing pizza boxes in there and stuff like that. I've seen it go in the other.
Other comments on recycling? Yes, sir.
I'm just going to make a recommendation on this subject. I sold cardboard as much as $285 a ton. Yeah. I paid $5 a ton to get rid of it. The thing is, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I know. We need to start with getting prices from different vendors. I'm going to say there's at least four of them out there that I can name right off the top of my head. So, waste management, from my experience, has always been the highest. So, before, agree to this, but we also have to go one step further and look into different contracts. So,
comments on recycling? Yes, sir.
The dumpster upstairs that does the cardboard and bottles and plastics, does that sort it?
No, that's what they actually call single stream because if you remember correctly, you used to have to separate everything a long time ago, and then because China came along with the market, they allowed what they call single stream, so everything gets combined and it gets sorted in some other facility. They actually do the sorting.
I know Waste Management sorts their garbage because I've seen them do it before.
And that's what this is.
Other comments on recycling? Quick comments.
Just
we're not going to solve recycling problem.
No, but it was something to do that he just sparked my interest with that. Is that Waste Management? Didn't we just go back and approve the selectmen last year to make long-term agreements with people specifically because of contracting issues with Waste Management?
That's the question.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember.
Next advisor's question.
In recycling, if there is still a market for cardboard, why don't we introduce our recycling to just include cardboard?
That's what the question is here. That's what they're trying to survey people. Okay.
What would it cost to
don't know what that mark is right now.
Probably changed it.
Volatile, right?
Recycling, comments on recycling?
So actually, you guys can go back on, town YouTube channel, and, Pete LaChapelle from Waste Management was in Holden recently, and is available on video, and he speaks to this whole entire issue from the waste management standpoint. But, the question was, why we pay $144, which sometimes if somebody throws a contaminated pizza box, which then blew up and it now says no pizza boxes on the single street recycling. But trust me when I tell you, it's much more than only pizza boxes. Half empty bottles of soda, it's glass that breaks in the bottom. And there are many contaminants that can contaminate that single street recycling bin. Somehow it got blown up and now there's recycling pizza boxes. But pizza boxes is not the only issue. So when that tin gets contaminated, it winds up right in the same landfill as what you're paying $106 for per ton. So that was the issue with how this whole question came to be. If you go back to separating out, single stream recycling may go out lazy, you throw it all in, everything goes right in there. If you go back to separating things out, you can identify a market for some things. Right now, the last time I talked to you, $15 a ton that you get back to the for it in cardboard. But it's better than spending $144 a ton to get rid of it, in my view.
Ready to go to roads?
Now,
You don't want to talk about roads? Don't we skip it?
Yeah.
I don't think we will.
All right, here we go. The town authorized a road study during the 2018 engineering, or from the engineering firm, Gorilla Palmer. They presented the study with several options for achieving a 10-year roadway improvement. Studies can be found on the town's website. Considerable money that would require to implement the study and start on a path of improving our roads. Based on the study's assessed conditions of the roads and total cost to maintain and rehabilitate all paved roads in the town is approximately $12.5 million. Plan focuses on addressing the roads in the preventive treatment category. First, to keep them from getting worse and becoming more expensive to repair. Also, this is only a 10-year plan, and there will still be significant road work to be continued. It's expected that we will need to keep the paving road repair budget elevated to stay on track and not fall so far behind. Please provide your thoughts on how the town should pay these improvements. Choose one. Continue at the previous budget levels, approximately $235,000 a year. At this level, based on the study, this amount is not adequate to make a substantial dent in improving the town's roads. And in fact, roads will continue to deteriorate. Budget $750,000 annually for paving road repair. This option attempts to make a more significant impact in improving the condition of town roads. C, borrow $3 million using a 10-year municipal bond at approximately the rate of 2.5%, along with an annual budget of $450,000 for paving and road repair. This option will front-load the plan and hopefully take advantage of an economy of scale by bidding a significant amount of work at one time and in theory will result in better pricing. Those are the questions, A, B, and C. Any comments on roads?
More miles for your money, $750,000. Not paying anybody any interest. In 10 years, it's $500,000. This year, you got $2 million in roads, which means two-thirds of your roads are still just a matter of maintaining. If you put the $3 million bond in the road in 1 year, then you could be paying $44,000. That would be
Other questions on roads? Comments on roads? Chris?
Let's see, figure out what it's gonna, how the tax rate's gonna go. I think it's gonna be like $1,500 more a year per household in the town if we do the law. That's why I don't agree with it. This town needs to start saving money doing it different ways. Like I said, I've been on this committee for 20 years. I say it every year. We got like 4 guys in town making $100,000 a year nothing, everything's the same. Has anything changed in 20 years? I remember when the budget was like under $200,000 for our summertime. Now we have $1 million for the whole budget, you know, with the state funding and all that. Nothing's changed. The roads are getting worse and worse. I'm running for road commissioner. I'm not here to, you know, but to fill the potholes like we're doing, that's not helpful. My idea is to buy a hot box, which actually takes old hot top, you put it in it, it grinds it up, melts it up, you make actual hot top. So you can fill in potholes with the hot top. Not sand, not stone dust or any of that. There's so many ways to save the town money. If you look at the study, it has nothing to do with ditching or color replacement. There's actually a section in there where they recommend that we do sidewalks in town, we do catch basins in town. This is level, this ain't sand, this ain't Rochester. You know? So all that's added into that $12 million, which, like I said, you add in the ditching and stuff, it's crazy. Just my thoughts. I don't know. I think you're gonna reword it if we go with one.
There's no questions on the road. Yes, sir.
Do you have any state aid roads?
Yes.
Yes. And how much do we receive from them?
Is that's our LRAP? We get about 87,000 a year in LRAP.
No.
Well, we only maintain them 11. They maintain some, like Little River, Depot Road.
So they pay for the paving of those roads?
Yes.
That's why Depot Road.
Other questions on the road? Yes, sir.
Does the town own any equipment whatsoever to do road repairs or pavement currently?
A 1 ton.
You know, 1 ton, no greater.
Other questions on roads? David?
One quick one. First, you're recommending B?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I'd like to keep the $500,000 that we're voting on this year, plus the road budget.
Okay.
Other questions or comments on the roads? Seeing none. Police. Police coverage has been a topic of discussion in town. Please choose which option you would prefer. A, no change to current practice. Town has coverage provided by the New York State Police. No local tax dollars required. B, hire contract deputies from the New York County Sheriff's Office to provide coverage. Initial conversations suggest 6 deputies will be required at approximately cost of $800,000 a year. C, form our own police department to include staffing, training, infrastructure, and outfitting. The rough estimate of the cost is in excess of $1 million. Comments or questions on police? Wow, just took the right moves. Yes, yes.
I'll speak to that actually. My problem with this question is C. I don't think that C adequately outlines whether you want police, whether you don't police. I don't really care. Personally, it doesn't bother me either way. But in excess of $1 million. So during the selectors meeting, we said that that was loosely based on Berwick's numbers. Berwick's budget this year for the police department is $914,000, which is still $86,000 less than $1 million. And it includes 10 patrol officers. It includes 5 administrative officers. It includes their animal control officer, and it includes school officers like their officer and the school resource officer, I guess they call them. So North Berwick's loosely connected $914,000 includes a lot more than even what state police or New York County Sheriff's Department is saying we need New York County, which would be 6 officers, is what they're suggesting. So, yeah, it's still, but North Berwick's is still paying for their vehicles. But, you know, I'm just saying that I think that they're, whether you want it or whether you don't, is completely up to the voters of this town, and I won't advocate either way. Everybody's got their own vote. I'm just saying that I think that this particular question, C is misleading as to
David?
Reason why we got rid of the police department in this town is because it's
Because of what?
they were giving tickets talk to people in this town, we were nothing more than a training ground. We'd set them up for the academy to get their certifications, they come back to town, here 6 months, and then to Rochester, go someplace else where the pay is more. We didn't get any compensated for all that. We ain't gonna pay for it. We were getting screwed by our own police department.
Other questions? Jim?
Just to clarify a little bit on where that 1 million plus number came from, we did more or less go with North Berwick because they were pretty close to 1 million, they're less than 1 million. But what you have to understand is that North Berwick only has a population of about 4,600, so about 2,000 less. So think about it like we're making close to 50% more people in this town than North Berwick. They're also only 38 square miles, okay, versus us that we're 56 square miles. So again, we're a little bit bigger of a town. The other thing is that what's not in the budget that Deborah happened to point out is there's nothing about building, electricity, where they're housed. I'm not sure where we would house a police force here, and obviously there's more costs. There's setup costs involved. We have no vehicles. Their budget only allows for a replacement of vehicles and replacement of equipment. We'd have to have an entire setup of equipment for any force that you decide to bring on, which is a significant cost. So the other thought is Berwick, okay, which is a larger town, they're 7,200, so they're about 1,000 more than we are, but they're 37 square miles. So again, a smaller town, their budget, 1.6 million. So my guess is it probably won't be 1.6, but it's probably going to be more than 1 million. So we wanted you to be able to make a judgment on this on a realistic number. Now, have we done our digging and research and bids and all that stuff? No. Because we're not even sure that people want it. That's one of the reasons. So the new board, depending on what the people vote on, may have a certain direction that the people want them to go. That's what this will helpfully provide.
Questions on police? I'm going to go with this young lady here.
Last question. So we're happy that we're being known as lawless government. You can do anything in this town you want. You grow marijuana on the corner, you grow it in a big trailer truck on Route 38. Excuse me?
It's legal.
Wait a minute. We're not talking about marijuana, we're talking about police.
We're talking about the police, everything that's going on with the different stores in town. I mean, some people might have gone to a store on 202 recently thinking you were going to buy flowers. Okay? The only flower that you were going to get there was pot. Okay? We need the police for stuff like this. Being lawless government.
Yes, sir. Did you have a question?
Yeah, that kind of wasn't my question. I just wanted to, so I'm in town, 5 months in town.
Welcome.
So thank you. So one of the things that attracted me to Lebanon was it seemed really safe. So, is there anything precipitated this question to come up besides the pot at the flower store?
I've had a lot of people ask me, we've had people ask, what about police, what about this? When we voted before, we were very divided. State police, York County Sheriff, if anybody remembers that, we were very divided on one of them. So we just decided to put it out there and see what people thought.
Other questions? Betty first and then Michelle.
Just a quick question. Do you know by any chance how that would affect the mill rate? Would it be?
So again, 50,000 is 10 cents. So 500,000 is $1. $1 million is $2.
$2 per thousand.
So $2 per thousand. So that's the number.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the Top Tip police coming up, one of the things that really attracted me to Lebanon when I moved here was the fact that there was no police. Okay? And that's not because I'm lawless or not a good man. It's simply for the fact that I don't believe in coercive government. And that is exactly what a police force in a small town is. It is your standing army. And since we're already talking about introducing autocrats to this scenario, I'm not so comfortable with giving them their own little enforcement wing either.
Other questions or comments? I'm going to come down to Chris and then today.
The thing is, a lot of people don't realize state police, they're not vehicles. A lot of people don't know that. They think you see a blue cruiser, the emblem on it. You know, you might see it once a week or something like that. You guys do, or even some of the back roads, there's actually maroon, black, silver, SUVs. So a lot of people think that there's no cops in town. They're around, believe me. I mean, that incident on Bigelow Road, there's staff, and the state police were there before our fire department. So there was actually 2 stadies there before anybody else arrived.
They didn't have enough state police at first.
David next.
So everybody thinks that there's no cops in town, and the sheriff's department is going to be here a certain number of hours, which the state police are already here the same amount of hours, which costs us 0. So, you know, everybody thinks, you know, the sheriff's is the answer. Well, it's not, because they're not going to be patrolling any more than what we already have here. Plus, their hours include their training and stuff, which they're not even going to be in town.
David.
If I remember right, when we got into the police department in this town in 1990, or 1991, their budget was $235,000, and they had cruisers and everything else, so we could be out there.
One of them died?
Other questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that incident happened at my house. Those state police were amazing. Okay, I'll tell you without even one hesitation, those state police were amazing. But I will tell you also that everybody arrived pretty much at the same time. It wasn't people who were there first or second or whatever. And tactical incidents and stuff were over 3.5 hours because they're all on the forward. So tactical units, it was 3.5 hours. We were all out there. I can tell you that the tactical and specialized units take longer, but that's because of where they're based. It's not because they're in North Lebanon or whatever. But there was plenty of coverage on that scene, I will tell you, when those state police were, like, snipers in my bathroom.
Other comments on police? Yes, sir.
There's definitely a presence on these roads, and you can get pulled over in the middle of the night on a road that doesn't even have a name for speeding.
Other comments
We won't ask you how you know that.
And if I read through the ordinances, I think there's a moratorium on anything pot related in town, correct? So,
Retail, not medical.
okay. And then the last thing is, 1 million plus dollar police department, what does that look like to your taxes? Sticker shock. I lived in Milton when they built that new fire department. You're talking a lot of money in your taxes.
Other questions on police? Comments? Yes, sir.
I'd be interested in knowing, before we vote on that, if there's any grant money available from Homeland Security, the government, or the state of Maine.
On this one, it's just a survey.
This is
Just a
no.
survey, so we try to direction you go with that.
This is not going to be voted on. This is a survey.
Hopefully a town manager, you write that grant.
All right, I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful crowd. Thank you so much.